Good afternoon, Mr. Minister Marta Lovato, Angie Agency. Federica Mogherini has said that despite sanctional regime against Russia, there is a need to continue negotiations with Russia. Nevertheless, many in Brussels have spoke against her announcement. What are the tracks of reviving the dialogue with the European Union? We do not have any reservations against the European Union. Vice versa, we're interested in the fact that the relations which are assigned as strategical partnership should be in compliance with this term. It is regrettable that the European Union took the track of confrontation up to a certain point, having followed the Americans in their promotion of sanctions against the Russian Federation. Moreover, the leaders of this union have disregarded the complaints from the European business community and have said that the European Union believes that regarding the Ukrainian crisis and Russia, the policy should come first before the economy. This is a very interesting announcement, and it tells a lot. We understand that we have different points of view, but at this point, when about half member states, maybe a little less than half of member states, are already starting to persistently speak in favor of lifting the sanctions, it shows that when such decisions, so to say, inertial decisions as an echo of American partners, then it's hard to abolish them. I remind you of our Russian proverb. It's better to first think and then to do anything. A stitch in time saves nine. So we would not change our criteria of behavior. We would not talk about criteria so that the European Union will be able to lift sanctions. It seems that the European Union has no experience in working in the Russian front. We're in favor of continuing the dialogue, even in the current situation where we want to continue the dialogue, though the European Union has frozen some areas of cooperation. But we can renew our dialogue only on the equitable basis. What we have heard in Brussels, in the Council of Foreign Policy, what we heard in the mass media, we're aware of this information. And if the European Union believes that the lack of normal dialogue in sectoral issues of agriculture and energy sectors is wrong, then we will not argue with the European Union. But if the European Union wants to retain the sanctions, as it was said in the Green Week, and to want to persuade us to take measures to protect our agriculture, then we will not play it not on the level playing field. It is important that the European Union understands what he wants. The European partners should consider their own interests and not of the primate of the policy over economy. If it is so, then we'll not have anything. We're losing a lot in political sphere as well. We're not cooperating beneficially in combating different threats and risks, especially from where we have our common risks from the southern direction. And of course, it would be interesting for me to hear the position of the European Union in regard to the freedom of the speech. The Ukrainian authorities are very vocal about closing down the broadcasting of Russian TV channels. One of the leaders who is in charge of the responsible, competent organ announces that the European viewer does not need to see the other point of view. That's almost a quote. And the European Union is silent. So is the US. When the Sony Pictures scandal with the interview with that blockbuster film, then the US, and I should also note that it was not a very great plot for a movie, then the US pushed so there will be some kind of broadcasting of that movie. So the freedom of the speech for this political provocation as the interview movie should be provided. But for broadcasting of the Russian channels in the Ukraine, nothing is done. And that's on the part of those who are in favor of freedom of the speech. So the last question, please. I see our Hungarian colleague, please.